Have you ever felt out of place in a conversation because it seemed like no one understood what you were saying, or noticed disapproving looks when you expressed a deeper idea? Why is it that more often than not, being intelligent is not seen as a gift, but as a burden? These questions are nothing new. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most provocative philosophers to ever exist, delved into these ideas in a direct and unapologetic manner. According to Schopenhauer, intelligence is a curse disguised as a virtue. He argued that intelligent people act as mirrors, reflecting the limitations of those around them. This reflection, however, is not met with gratitude or admiration. On the contrary, it provokes discomfort, resentment, and often hostility. In his words, people never forgive those who show them what they do not want to see. It's curious how we celebrate other forms of superiority, wealth, beauty, or physical strength with enthusiasm. These traits in some way seem to unite people, inspiring aspirations or even mild envy. But intelligence is different. It stirs something deeper, almost instinctive, a discomfort that goes far beyond a simple comparison. This raises a troubling question. Why does society reject those who have more to offer in terms of ideas and insights? The answer may lie in how intelligence affects the human ego. On an unconscious level, it triggers psychological defense mechanisms, forcing people to confront their own limitations. Imagine being in a room where someone speaks with clarity and depth about topics you've never considered. This confrontation is not just uncomfortable, it can be perceived as a threat to the listener's identity, and this reaction, while irrational, is profoundly human. Throughout history, brilliant minds have often been isolated and even persecuted, not because they were arrogant or overbearing, but because their very existence challenged the social and intellectual norms of their time. Think about how groundbreaking ideas, those that eventually shaped the world, initially faced fierce resistance. It's no coincidence that many geniuses were understood and appreciated only after their deaths. What's most intriguing is that this dynamic hasn't changed. In the age of social media, digital interactions, and the constant pursuit of validation, Schopenhauer seems more relevant than ever. People still shy away from complex ideas and depth in favor of superficialities that reinforce conformity. And the cost of this? A society that struggles to progress while true innovators remain marginalized. In this video, we'll explore what makes intelligence so uncomfortable for others, the psychological and social mechanisms behind this, and how you can navigate this challenge without sacrificing who you are. After all, as Schopenhauer teaches us, the issue isn't being intelligent, but how society reacts to that difference. Get ready for a journey that will challenge your beliefs and perhaps help you better understand the role of your intelligence in a world that often doesn't know how to value it. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that intelligence did not need words to make an impact. For him, the mere presence of someone intellectually superior was enough to provoke intense emotional reactions in those around them. It is as if intelligence functions like a mirror, revealing flaws, insecurities, and limitations that we prefer to ignore. But why does this happen? The philosopher observed that people have a natural tendency to compare themselves to one another. This comparison can be harmless in many aspects, such as admiring someone's beauty or wealth. But intelligence triggers a more intense comparison that cuts deeper and affects our self-esteem. When faced with someone with greater intellectual capacity, we are forced to ask ourselves, why didn't I think of that before? Or, am I less than I imagined? This makes us interpret the situation as a threat, even if the intelligent person has done nothing to provoke such a feeling. It is as if their mere intelligence loudly declares something we would rather not hear. But Schopenhauer did not stop there. He pointed out that intelligence not only exposes limitations, but also challenges the status quo. In any social group, there is a kind of unwritten contract that prioritizes harmony over truth. This contract works well until someone more intelligent enters the equation. From that moment on, the dynamics shift. Simple ideas start to seem shallow. Topics once considered interesting become trivial. It is as if the presence of a brilliant mind raises the level of conversation to a standard that many would rather avoid. For this reason, it is not uncommon for intelligent people to face social rejection. They do not need to be arrogant or critical to make others uncomfortable. Their mere existence challenges the notion that everything is fine as it is. This explains why, so often, the most brilliant individuals are labeled as difficult, intimidating, or even snobbish, even when they do nothing to warrant such criticisms. Schopenhauer also observed that this dynamic manifests at all levels of society, from small social circles to large institutions. In workplaces, for example, it is common for more intelligent individuals to be marginalized under the pretense of not fitting the culture. In schools, brilliant students may be deemed difficult to handle simply because they challenge traditional teaching methods. Intelligence, then, becomes a trait that isolates rather than connects. Schopenhauer still believed that understanding this dynamic was the first step to dealing with it. When we realize that rejection is not personal, but rather a natural response to the uncomfortable truths that intelligence reveals, we can navigate these situations with greater balance. The key, according to him, lies in recognizing the impact we have on others and wisely choosing how and when to share our ideas. This means that sometimes it is better to observe in silence than to insist on being understood. On other occasions, finding people who value and share our way of thinking might be the best solution. Either way, Schopenhauer invites us to view intelligence not as a curse, but as a responsibility, a capability that must be used with purpose and discernment. Have you ever noticed how the simplest ideas tend to be the most popular? Why do books filled with cliches sell millions while profound works are often relegated to obscurity? Schopenhauer was one of the first to recognize this preference for mediocrity, and his reflections continue to resonate today. For Schopenhauer, mediocrity not only fits better into society, it is celebrated because it brings comfort. He described mediocrity as a warm blanket that prevents people from confronting life's complexities or the limitations of their own understanding. While intelligent and profound ideas require mental effort and often an uncomfortable reevaluation of our beliefs, mediocre ideas tell us something simple: you're fine just the way you are. This easy acceptance allows mediocrity to dominate social spaces. In the workplace, in entertainment, and even in education, the individuals and ideas that stand out are often those that do not challenge the status quo. This phenomenon has both sociological and psychological explanations. In collective environments, the desire to belong outweighs the desire to learn or grow. Mediocrity, then, is not just accepted, it is actively promoted as the standard. Consider a dinner with friends or colleagues. Deep conversations can quickly change the atmosphere. Complexity is intimidating because it makes people feel inadequate or excluded. On the other hand, simple jokes and superficial topics create the illusion that everyone is on the same level. Schopenhauer argued that by choosing the easier path, society shuts the door on more meaningful progress. However, the celebration of mediocrity is not just about avoiding discomfort. There is also an issue of power at play. As Schopenhauer observed, intelligent people have the potential to question the power structures that uphold society. Their ideas can destabilize hierarchies and challenge systems. For this reason, they are often silenced or marginalized. Mediocrity, in contrast, preserves order because it threatens no one. We can clearly see this in the modern world. In the age of social media, simplified and viral-ready content often garners more attention than more elaborate messages. A shallow opinion with a catchy title can receive thousands of likes and shares, while more complex reflections are ignored. This is no coincidence. Superficiality requires less effort from both the creator and the consumer. Schopenhauer also observed how this affects art and literature. He noted that people have a natural tendency to prefer what doesn't demand intellectual effort. This is why, so often, artists and writers who challenge norms end up marginalized during their lifetimes, only to be appreciated long after their time. He cited as examples authors and philosophers whose works were initially rejected but eventually shaped generations. Even so, Schopenhauer did not see mediocrity as inherently bad. He understood it as part of the human condition. Not everyone is willing or ready to confront the deeper truths of existence. The problem, according to him, arises when mediocrity is seen as an ideal rather than merely a stage of learning. When we settle for the shallow, we lose the chance to explore the vast. This reflection raises a fundamental question. Is it possible to escape this trap without isolating oneself? For Schopenhauer, the answer lies in the courage to be different. This does not mean rejecting society entirely, but finding ways to contribute deeper ideas without expecting immediate acceptance. He believed that true progress emerges when those who think differently refuse to be silenced by conformity. Therefore, instead of trying to fit in, the solution may lie in creating your own spaces where depth is valued. As we will explore further, finding these genuine connections could be the key to balancing intellect with social acceptance without sacrificing what truly matters: the pursuit of meaning and truth. Arthur Schopenhauer, in his analyses of intelligence, observes something that still resonates today. The impact of intelligence is not neutral when viewed through the lens of gender. While intelligent men face resistance and social exclusion, intelligent women encounter a double challenge, not only because of their intellect but also for defying societal expectations of how they should be and behave. In Schopenhauer's view, society imposes a specific set of roles and expectations on women, often based on superficial attributes like beauty, gentleness, and subservience. When a woman stands out intellectually, she challenges these norms, exposing the fragility of such social constructs. This creates discomfort that goes beyond what an intelligent man might provoke, as it directly touches on issues of power and social control. This social dilemma, which Schopenhauer observed in his time, has been widely confirmed by contemporary research. Studies show that intelligent women often face the so-called competence-likability trade-off. The more competent they are perceived to be, the less likable they are rated by both men and women. This dynamic creates a vicious cycle. To be accepted, many intelligent women end up downplaying or concealing their abilities. A common example of this can be seen in the workplace. While intelligent men may be viewed as natural leaders, women often have to fight to prove that their ideas deserve serious consideration. This resistance comes not only from others, but also from an internal pressure to not intimidate those around them. Thus, intelligence, which should be an advantage, becomes a barrier. Schopenhauer also highlighted how society's treatment of intelligent women is deeply tied to the emphasis on female beauty. He believed that society often reduces women to aesthetic attributes, while intelligence is seen as almost a dissident to this narrative. This creates a unique tension for women who possess both qualities. If they are both beautiful and intelligent, they face isolation for defying two simultaneous expectations: to be agreeable and approachable. Modernly, this perspective continues to manifest in different spheres. For example, on social media, women who share profound reflections often face harsher criticism than their male counterparts. Comments questioning their appearance or insinuating arrogance are common, reinforcing the notion that female intelligence is perceived as a threat rather than a virtue. However, what Schopenhauer also emphasized is that, despite this resistance, female intelligence has the potential to redefine social norms. Intelligent women, by standing out, not only challenge expectations but also pave the way for new possibilities. They demonstrate that it is possible to be authentic and successful, even in the face of rejection and prejudice. To address this dilemma, Schopenhauer suggests that intelligent women should not conform to society's superficial expectations. Instead, they should focus on finding environments and communities where their intelligence is valued and respected. While this does not eliminate challenges, it creates a space where they can thrive without sacrificing their authenticity. Ultimately, this discussion is not just about gender or intelligence. It is about freedom to think, express, and exist without fear of judgment. The struggle of intelligent women, as Schopenhauer highlights, is not merely for recognition, but for a space where they can fully exist as intellectuals, creators, and human beings. Being intelligent in a world that often resists depth can feel like a constant challenge, but as Schopenhauer reminds us, the key to dealing with social rejection isn't trying to change who you are, but understanding the social dynamics around you and using that understanding to navigate with greater wisdom and balance. First, it's important to understand that negative reactions to intelligence are rarely personal. When your presence or ideas cause discomfort, it usually says more about other people's insecurities than it does about you. Recognizing this can be liberating. It's not about downplaying yourself or pretending to be less intelligent, but about realizing that not everyone is ready or open to receive what you have to offer. One of the first strategies for navigating these situations is reading the room. Before sharing an idea or expressing a deeper point of view, assess the social climate around you. Ask yourself, is this the right moment for such reflection? Some complex ideas may be better received in smaller groups or one-on-one conversations where there's more space for an exchange of thoughts. This doesn't mean hiding your intelligence, but choosing your moments wisely. Another essential point is the ability to simplify without losing depth. Being able to translate complex concepts into accessible ideas can transform how others perceive you. It's not about dumbing down your thoughts, but about finding creative ways to make them understandable. Doing so can turn your intelligence into a bridge rather than a barrier. Finding your tribe is another powerful strategy. Schopenhauer observed that the most intelligent people often form small affinity groups where they can freely exchange ideas without fear of judgment. In the modern world, this is easier than ever. Online groups, intellectual communities, and specialized events provide spaces where you can connect with people who share your way of thinking. Building these connections can not only ease feelings of isolation, but also strengthen your sense of belonging. Another approach is to cultivate empathy. Even if your intelligence is above average, that doesn't mean you need to use it as a point of separation. Showing genuine interest in the thoughts and feelings of others can dissolve barriers and create deeper connections. Remember, emotional intelligence is a powerful ally of rational intelligence. And finally, be strategic. You don't have to share everything you know all the time. Some situations call for subtlety and discretion. As the saying goes, choosing your battles is a crucial skill. Knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to simply observe can make a huge difference in how you're perceived and how your intelligence is received. Schopenhauer teaches us that intelligence is a strength, but also a responsibility. We're not here to shine alone, but to use our minds in ways that can illuminate, inspire, and transform the world around us. This requires patience, empathy, and above all, the courage to remain authentic, even in a world that often resists depth. Being intelligent isn't just about what you know, but about how you share it with others. Intelligence is a solitary journey, but it's also a responsibility to light paths amidst the darkness of conformity. Reflecting on Schopenhauer, we realize that being intelligent isn't just about carrying the weight of ideas many choose to avoid, but also about confronting the resistance they provoke. However, the true depth of intelligence lies not in being understood by everyone, but in transforming the minds that are ready to listen. After all, progress doesn't come from what is comfortable, but from what is challenging. If you've made it this far, I want to sincerely thank you. It's not every day that we find people willing to dive so deeply into topics that challenge us to think differently. This says a lot about you, about your courage to face ideas many avoid, and your ability to view the world with curious eyes, even when discomfort arises. In this video, we talked about Schopenhauer, intelligence, and challenges. But at its core, we were talking about ourselves. Because at some point, we've all felt like a unique piece in a puzzle that doesn't quite fit. And the fact that you're here shows that you're seeking something greater, understanding, purpose, or maybe just a space where your perspective is respected. I want you to take this with you. Your intelligence is a gift and the world needs it, even if sometimes it feels like it isn't ready for it. Keep questioning, exploring, and sharing what you know. And if this content resonated with you, share it with someone else who might benefit from this journey. Oh, and before you go, I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered why certain truths feel unbearable while others set us free? Or how some ideas we ignore might hide the very answers we're searching for? Don't leave just yet. In the suggested videos, we'll dive deeper into these mysteries. Who knows? One of those answers might be waiting for you there. Once again, thank you for being part of this. See you soon, and remember, your mind is a beacon, even when the tide tries to extinguish it.